You are now tuning in to the Going North podcast with your host, best-selling author, and professional speaker, and member of the John Maxwell team, Dominic Dom Brightman. And every Monday and Thursday, we're going to hear the voice of a different author sharing their gifts, stories, and expertise to help you charge forward in life. Now let's get on with the show. And today on the Going North podcast, where we bring you fabulous humans from across the globe, today's no different. Today is no different because we got a local author in the house, the Maryland house, in the land of PG County, baby, PG County. And it's quite fitting because I got an HR expert in the building. This wonderful lady right here, she's a powerhouse. She's a woman in business killing the game, baby. Killing the game indeed with her own company because she has a wealth of experience and she totes that experience because she has many years of management consulting with small business owners and not to mention finding a common thread amongst her clients, the fact that she constantly found that handling HR issues for her clients before taking on what they had hired her to do was the key that led her to realize, you know what, it's about time that I give these folks the goods. So, with over 3 decades of experience in a career that has encompassed leadership in retail, nonprofit, health, and wellness in the private sector, this fabulous author right here learned very early on how important integrity and ethics are in success of any business. So let's give it up for the fabulous queen herself, a fellow D, the one, the only Miss Diana George. How are you today, ma'am?
I am doing wonderful. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to share and have this conversation and talk about some of the things that are going on. But thank you for that introduction.
Oh, yes, indeed. I appreciate you and the fabulous D Bowden for connecting us together. We D's got to stay together.
Absolutely. Dee is a wonderful friend and I appreciate it. I know she's been on your show as well. So heard nothing but great things.
That's right. That's right, indeed. Great things happen because of great human beings, especially when they're in the chocolate and caramel categories. Woo! Well, as with all introductions, they're not allowed to be 53 days long, so mind filling in some cavities where I missed some fillings and tell us who is the one and only Diana George.
Sure. Well, the one and only Diana George, I tell you, I am at a time in my career in this stage where I've been able to take the wonderful experiences that I've had and share them with other people. But as you mentioned, I've been in HR, I've been in HR for a while and kind of stumbled on that by mistake years ago by working with some very global companies, and one of those being Bose Speakers, and found out that when you're working with the HR team itself and they really help navigate you as an individual, as a manager, it really does open up a lot of doors for opportunities and hiring and retaining the best employees. And so I constantly over my career found myself back in that niche unexpectedly. And at some point I said, you know what, I think this is something that someplace I need to be. And not only that, I'm kind of good at it. So why not stay here? And so I kind of diverged and put all my attention into human resources. And you've had a chance to work for some very iconic global companies. The last one was Omega, the watch company itself, where I was their HR director for the United States, our retail division. And so I got a chance to really develop, hire some of the best people in luxury retail to go out and represent us. And at some point, I decided, you know what? It's time for something new. And at that point, I wanted to step away and do my own thing. And so I started my own company. And so by George HR Solutions, what I do is organizations consult with me when they are really ready to hire reliable employees, because that can increase your productivity, profitability, and really improve retention in the workplace. And it builds loyal employees. So excited to be able to do that every day. I just feel that your employees are your greatest brand ambassador. And so when you can get great employees and you know how to do it, you can set your company up for success.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Getting them great employees and setting them up for success. Yes, indeed. That's right. Setting them up for success like some statues in Egypt. That's what I'm talking about.
Exactly, success. Everybody wants to expand a company. If you take a look at it, the reason why anybody starts their own company is so that they can take the wonderful ideas that they've had and have a platform to have those ideas, but also to grow. And with that growth comes employees. So you start with an idea and then you move forward and you add employees. And a lot of times business owners forget that they will be adding those employees or forget that that success is coming. And so I get to come in and help them put those things in place that they need to have so that there is success with their employees and just the growth of the company.
Oh, yeah. And word must have traveled too with all those companies that you named that you work for.
Well, you know what? I've had a chance because of the companies, the global companies, do a lot of traveling. The last position that I had allowed me to travel all over the U.S. We had 33 stores that were in the United States itself. That also included Hawaii as well as Puerto Rico. So, work had me on planes, but it was great to be able to be on the front line with individuals and know what was going on and get to know people. I think that human resources, one of the best things about it is that you're talking about humans and you get to engage with people and build relationships. And so over the course of years, I've learned how to really, really do that. And sometimes we take it for granted that we know how to really have effective communication or we know how to have those conversations. And that's sometimes where you have to discourse with individuals where you don't have people that are engaged. And so I can go in and I can step away and be an outside source and see what's going on and then help people find the solutions that they need. So that travel took me all over the US. It took me to just about any of the states that we have there itself because we were located all over in the US. So traveling is a great thing. That's one of my passions also. I love to travel.
Ah, sweet. Any particular favorite travel destination?
Well, I have my favorite, I have to say, was a trip that I took last year for the New Year's into 2019. I was in South Africa for about a week and a half, and that was one of the best trips that I've ever taken. And being in South Africa for the New Year's was a wonderful thing, just to be over there and engage. I tell you, one of the things that happens when you're over there is just such a connection that sometimes you don't think is going to happen, and it just happens so naturally. And when you're in South Africa and you're there, it just felt like home, and just felt like I would look into the faces of people that were there, and it was like I know these people. I've already had conversations with them, or they're people that I already engaged with, and I know. So that was very touching.
Woohoo! Sweet. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. Do you think your HR background helped with the connection piece of connecting with others in other nations?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I think that you realize when you're in HR is that you look at people so much differently. I know for myself, I always look at finding the best in people, and it's there. And sometimes we tend to overlook that, or we tend to look at the things that people aren't doing right. And then for me, it's all about finding the things that people are doing right and celebrating that. Because when you can acknowledge more of what people are doing right, then guess what? They do more things right. But if you just focus on what they're not doing, then you also get more of that. And so I think for me, it's always looking at what is that thing that I can see that somebody's good at, or just acknowledge somebody for something that they're doing right. And it just opens up the door for more conversations because, of course, you have a shared reality. And so it really, conversations and communication is about shared reality with other individuals that you have and finding that thing that you have in common. And certainly HR and being in human resources, it helps you to do that.
Ah, beautiful. Shared reality. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. So, from all of your experience, what do you think is probably the biggest mistake that companies make when bringing on new employees?
So I think the biggest mistake is that they don't on board them. And when I say on board, it's one of these things that most companies and most individuals, when you're looking to hire someone, is because you have a need and you're so excited to get that person in. And you have to understand that when they come on board, that time that they come on is very crucial to whether or not that person is going to feel comfortable or they're going to feel like they're part of something and stay longer. And so this really goes into the chapter in my book that I do have, and it's a company culture that transforms, because your company culture and finding someone that's very alike and coming into your business as an employee that really there's synergy with your company culture, that's an employee that's going to probably wind up being there for a length of time because there is that synergy there. And so as you're engaging with employees, you want to really find out about that employee, find out what it is that they enjoy doing, find out, listen to them, set standards and expectations from the very beginning. And I think that's something that is not always done. So the employee should have a set of standards and expectations from their employer, and the employer should have a set of expectations and standards from the employee. And those things need to be established right from the very beginning and not after or when there's a problem.
Oh yeah, that's true. I guess it kind of goes to that shared reality thing. It's like, all right, you bring someone in and you're expecting things to go a certain way, and then you don't give them the rundown of how it really works, or they don't get enough cues when they're there, the newbie, and then out of nowhere hit a tailspin, and then you're both in the office of doom, and then out of nowhere you wake up in a kangaroo sack of confusion.
Absolutely, a kangaroo sack of confusion. I love that one. But I will say also that during the hiring process, one of the things that I think a lot of people do, they always paint, the perfect picture. And I don't think that anybody new coming on board is going to expect everything to be perfect. And it's okay to tell them also same thing expectations of the job that may not be the most favorable things, because you want to give the person what the truth is, what the reality is when they come on board. You don't want to sell them on, a set of goods and then they get in and they're like, well, that's not what you sold me on itself. And so, having those conversations right from the very beginning, and this starts in the interview process.
That's right. It's like you buy a Cadillac and then you sit in it and then you realize you picked up an old Ford and it's game over.
Exactly.
That's right. And then they go off searching for a new place of employment.
You said it. And so when an employee isn't happy or when it doesn't meet their expectations, most employees will not come and tell you that unless you are a manager that's very connected to your employee and you recognize certain signs and you have certain conversations. They're most of the time not going to walk in your office and say to you, I'm unhappy and we need to talk about this. What they're going to do is they're going to start looking for another job. And then all of a sudden you get, well, I'm putting in my 2-week notice, and you didn't even know that this person might be unhappy, or that it wasn't meeting their expectations because they didn't come and tell you, but that communication was not there where they felt that they can come and tell you what was going on.
Yep, that's true indeed, because not everybody's brave enough to really be upfront with people like that, especially nowadays where folks are scared of the possible backlash that they may or may not get.
Yeah, the backlash that you talk about, I mean, I think the most organizations that run the best or have the most success are ones where there is a great deal of transparency with employees, and you give employees the freedom to have conversations, and they can be honest with you itself. And so when you're following or when you're working with someone or you have a leader or a manager, you want to be able to feel that you can be honest with that person and tell them the truth. And as a manager, a leader, you want your people to be able to feel comfortable enough to come and tell you that, because that's when you can come up with solutions if something is not going right or something needs to be adjusted. But if people aren't willing, once again, to have that communication, you're not going to be able to solve the problem. You won't even be able to identify that there's a problem until often it's way too late.
That's true. That's true indeed. And then you really get stuck in that kangaroo sack. And they might even put a kufi on your head just for added sprinkles on the cupcake.
I love it.
That's right. Yes, indeed. Or better yet, a turban. Being inside of a kangaroo sack while wearing a turban. Because you thought you were going to go from one place to work and then you realize, nope, I've been sold a bill of goods and some swampland.
Sure. But once again, I will say it's a twofold situation. It's up to the person that's looking for the job, as well as it's up to the employer. So it is a relationship. It involves the two people, just like anything in life. It's a two-terminal universe. You have more than one person. And so there's not one person, totally to blame. It's two people that need to be able to have that conversation. And that's where aligning the company that you work for, or making sure that there's alignment in the company culture. That's why that's so important. Are you working for a company that allows that transparency and that openness, and they want people to, be provocative, and, have the conversations that need to be had, and they encourage creativity. That's real important. If you're a person that comes up with all these great ideas, and yet you're talking about these great ideas and nobody wants to hear it, that's going to stifle you at some point. So that might not be the right company for you. You might need to look for something. So really, when you're even looking for that job, if you're on that other end, you should be saying or looking at who can I align with? What are the company values? Are they still in line with my values? And so, because that's a company that you'll fit in more readily.
Fabulous right there. And you mentioned transparency a couple times. So, for a company that may be going through that problem right now where they may have lost their way and they're trying to become more transparent and to become more agile in the future, what's probably the advice you would give to the appropriate people to hopefully get their compass realigned to where they need to be?
Sure. So, and in my book chapter, Company Culture That Transforms, I talk about 7 strategies. And I will say that one of the strategies I'll let you in is to listen. And so often you can learn so much. Top management in an organization can learn a lot just by listening. And so one of my favorite shows is Undercover Boss. And the reason I love that show is because these are individuals that are very successful, have built companies, and in the beginning, when they were building the company, they were on the ground level and they understood and their hands touched everything. But then at some point, they were removed from that because now they're looking at furthering the expansion of the company. So they're not directly involved in the day to day so much, but you still need to know what's happening. And so the people that can tell you what's happening are those people on the ground floor. And so one of the first things that I would say is so critical and important is to really listen, and be able to listen with the idea like, what can I learn? Because if you're listening to learn, then you can start taking a look at what's working, what's not working, what we might need to adjust, and it opens up the door for so many handlings.
Oh, yeah. That's the key that everyone forgets from time to time is just listen. Just listen right there, indeed. And heck, even sometimes it can be challenging to listen because sometimes folks listen to noise from so many other areas
Mhm.
outside of their company. They go into their company and they're so bogged down that they bring that with them. And it's hard for them to actually separate the two and actually refill their listening wells of ears in a way.
That is accurate. And sometimes that happens with even within companies. You have different departments and you have different within a company, different departments, different brands, different divisions. And so if you're working in a company or organization and you have a certain department that you're working in, first start with your department, find out what's needed and wanted in your department, build those relationships first in your department, because then you can expand outside of that and really get a true understanding of how what it is that you do impacts other divisions or other departments within the company. And I think that's also crucial. A lot of times people have on blinders and they're in one particular department and they do a particular job, but now let's see how what it is that I do fits in what the rest of the organization does and what the input is on that. And so when you really know that, you really know what your place is and how do I contribute. And at the end of the day, it's all about contribution. Everybody wants to feel that what they do and the contribution that they make is acknowledged. Everybody wants to be acknowledged at the end of the day. Everybody wants to feel validated or feel that they've been able to add something or that they have a purpose in whatever it is that they're doing.
Oh, yeah, that validation. It's funny how listening can be a cure. Wouldn't say cure all, but definitely a cure many. Just the power of listening can just help you to validate others and to find out where things are going wrong or where the gears aren't turning.
It's interesting because a lot of times people right now we live in this society, we live in a world where there's so many things that's going on. Everything is so fast paced. So even when we think we're listening, we're really not. We're really not there entirely in what it is that we're doing. And so we go into situations knowing that we have to have conversations, but are we really there with that conversation, that particular point? Are we thinking about, oh, I got to pick up the laundry, I got to pick up the kids, or I got to do this afterwards? And so, are we truly there with that particular conversation? And so, when we really can be right there, then we're really able to have not only the necessary conversation, but that person feels like they're engaged with someone itself in terms of communication
That's right. And without the engagement ring, too.
without the engagement ring.
That's right. That's how you engage with people. Let me stop. Yeah, man. That's right. The corn was still going to pop up eventually. But yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So it's fabulous. So, how did you come up on this co author project and found a way to contribute your, well, I wouldn't say all of it, but at least a part of your wisdom into the collective whole?
Sure. Well, I was asked to be a facilitator at an event that happened in New York. It was about a year ago, and the Futures Women of America project. And so I went and facilitated, and I met a lot of wonderful women that were there. And one of the individuals there, her name is Erin Joy, and she was heading up this project. And what she really wanted to do is make sure that she had a very diverse group of women in different industries and different platforms, and that can really come together and speak about the success that they had. And so the name of the book is Anatomy of Accomplishment, Your Guide to Bigger, Better, Bolder Business Results. And so all the women, myself included, I'm excited to say we all have had success in business. And so we want to be able to share that success with other people. And so coming from the HR world, my chapter is on a company culture that transforms. And I do give 7 strategies, and I talk about those winning things that every successful company will have as a part of their company culture.
Sweet. Yes, indeed. Women slaying the game, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, indeed. Black dress circle, indeed. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Well, as with the writing, I'm sure there's folks that have influenced you. So, out of all of your reads, are there any top 3 books that inspire you that you love to read and possibly reread and go over again?
You know what? Lately I've been doing a lot of driving and flights, and so my time in physically reading a book and turning the page, I don't have a lot of time to do that. So my newest thing is Audible books, and so I've had a chance to listen to a couple of them recently that I really would recommend to people. And one of them is called Blue Ocean Strategy. It's by Renee Marborn and Chan Kim, and the book is about how do you take and differentiate yourself from everybody else and what the competition is doing. And so you may have a lot of coaches, or you may be an author, or you may be in a particular industry, but now how do you separate yourself and be in what they would consider a blue ocean, where you're kind of by yourself doing your own thing? And so that was a really good book that I read recently. But another one that I read was Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And I have to say, listening to that, you really understand, that you're capable as individuals, we're capable of doing anything, and that we really can't overcome anything. And it really is a mind thing. And once we get our mind geared up to do certain things, it's just a matter of keeping straight and moving forward, and we can accomplish anything. And so his book was very, very, very good that I recently read. There's one other person I have to say, Brene Brown, and Dare to Lead. And so she's another individual. I've recently read her book, and it just talks about the leadership that's needed and how important it is to have certain attributes and certain skill sets when you're a leader. And she also talks about listening to people, and it's how important it is to really just be able to sometimes just be quiet and listen. It's so interesting because you'll find out a lot just by being quiet sometimes and just listening and letting other people talk and just acknowledging them. You get a lot of valuable information.
That's right. Some ear hustling. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Especially when they bring out them TMI moments like, oh, all right, good. All right. I found the gold I need. I am so going to avoid you and use this for the betterment of this company right here. I now have my tinfoil hat horn for a reason. That's right. Let me stop.
Dom, you are hilarious.
Whew. Well, and speaking of listening, there's also the power of questions. So, in your interview tour so far, or at least the one that's starting and is going to keep on going, is there a question that you wish folks would ask you more often that haven't asked you yet?
I think the question is that no one really asked is like, how did you decide, or what brought you to where you are now? Because I think oftentimes when you get to a certain place in life, people just look at where you are and they forget that you've had a journey also. And I've had a journey, and it's all been good. And when I say it's all been good, there's been trials, tribulations, there's been ups and there's been downs, but I think it's all those things that have got me to where I am now. And I think in anything that we do in life, is the experiences that you have that get you over the hump into where you are right now. And so, the package that, people see today, that might have not have been there 20 years ago because I was evolving or trying to get to that point. So just, finding out what the journey was. And I love to share that journey because I think that journey gives other people hope, and it inspires other people that to know that, okay, I'm not there yet, but that doesn't mean that I stop. I keep on going. And so I'm ready to always share, my journey, because if my journey can help somebody else and help them understand or get them past a certain point in their life, I think that's great. Because I think one of the things that we're constantly told, and for me it's truly a myth, is that when you go to work, you separate the professional from the personal. And that's not really accurate itself. Who we are in our personal life is really who we are in our professional life. There's no real, separation of lines. There's no real blur there. But what I do know for sure, if at work I can teach you how to be better in your professional life, that will spill over into your personal life. And vice versa. If you learn how to do things differently and be better in your personal life, you will be better in your professional life. And so having people understand that and know that it's okay to share who they are at work.
Yes, indeed. That's what I call sharing is caring, indeed. Yes, indeed. And that is so true right there. That's a nice gold brick right there. The fact that a lot of folks, when they see folks nowadays and they may have reached a point where they're being more known and recognized, they don't realize, like, hey, it's kind of the whole 10 years to be an overnight success thing. It's like you didn't see the journey, you didn't see the days and the nights where it wasn't so glamorous, or the fact that someone's may have always been a certain way with some minor tweaks that they really didn't catch earlier in the days. They just see the finished product, but not the
Mhm.
process.
Right. There is truly, I think there's an evolution in all of us. Because frankly, if there wasn't an evolution, we would be the same, and that means there's no growth. And the whole idea of life is that there's a continual evolution, there's continual growth. And so there has to be that. And so that's there for everybody. And so understanding that, we will continue to evolve, we will continue to grow. And that's a part of the journey.
Yeah. So speaking of evolving, what do you believe is your next stage of evolution?
My next stage of evolution, right now, because I do believe that I have something valuable to say, because I have lived a very full life, is now sharing that with other people. So for me, that next evolution is getting out there on a platform where I can share more of that with people. Write some additional books. I truly, truly believe, and a firm believer that your employees are your greatest brand ambassadors in any company. And so when you see success in any company, it's because they have great employees, and they have great employees because they put a wonderful culture there that employees feel engaged in, and they feel a part of a family, and they want to be there. And so if we have more companies like that and have more people engaging with each other, because right now we have technology, which is a wonderful thing, but sometimes technology keeps us from being engaged with each other. So back in the day, when you would have those family dinners and people were sitting down, or at a certain point they had those conversations with each other, we have so many distractions now, and so we still need that. And so that's the wonderful thing for me that I love about human resources. There's that word human in there. And so I get a chance to relate with people on that level all the time. And so really opening that platform up so more people can understand that and see how to use that in their day-to-day lives.
Oh yeah, more books coming. That's what I'm talking about. That's right. Queen Joe's gonna be on the biggest stages, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, indeed. Heck, maybe even one of those TEDx talks.
Who knows? I would love to be on a TEDx talk.
That's right. Just have a big old red teddy bear in the background. I'm surprised.
Exactly.
I'm surprised no one's done that yet. It's like, come on, y'all. Like, it's an easy corny joke. It's right there. Like, somebody put a red teddy bear somewhere in the audience on the videos. Come on, y'all. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, that's fabulous, though. That's fabulous. That's what I'm talking about. Continuous growth. More books and not just co author projects, even though those are always a plus. That's what I'm talking about, indeed.
But I will tell you, Don, one of the things that I have and I have a passion for also is community development, and that's always been important to me. I know back in the day, you used to have Job Corps and other things within the schools that really prepared our youth for certain opportunities as they came out of school, and we no longer have that. And I see that as I interview people every day for jobs. And, the thing is, the saying, if you know better, you do better. And so sometimes things that I see, I know that people aren't prepared for that interview and how to really present themselves the way that they need. They may be the right candidate for the job, but if you don't really know how to get your foot in the door, prepare yourself for that interview, you might lose that opportunity. And so I really want to have an opportunity to show and even do a weekend, where people have an opportunity to learn, how do I really present myself? Because I can really show anybody how to get their foot in and get the right job for themselves if they get their foot in the door. And it's easy. If somebody is reliable and they have the attributes and the skill sets, then I can show them how to do that. And so I really want to have an opportunity to show people that, because when you can really match people up with a career that they really enjoy doing, they go to work happy every day. They're productive. And I always say that, a happy employee is a productive employee. So when you have people that are happy itself, they're productive and they come to work and they enjoy what it is that they're doing. But on the other end, I want people to find things for them to do as a job that's fulfilling for them. So it's not a job, it really is a career at the end of the day.
Ah, yes, indeed. Very powerful point right there. And it's so true. It's like a lot of folks, they don't know how to sell themselves when they get to that job interview phase. And heck, even the whole bigger topic of the fact that they're not being prepared in school for actual adulting. They even have adulting classes in college now because a lot of folks didn't get the real hard truth, that real shared reality that they should have gotten when they're at a certain age.
Right. So if we can prepare people better, because the opportunities are there. When we take a look at right now, even unemployment, it is at a lower than it's been in past years. So that goes to tell you that there's a lot of jobs out there and employers are looking for individuals. So now it's just a matter of matching the right individuals for those opportunities that are there. And certainly there's a lot of people that probably fit that, but if you don't know how to, even get recognized with your resume initially, when you're looking for a job, that will that will make all the difference as to whether you get that call or you don't. And so just recently, I had a young lady that a friend of mine had said, "Can you just reach out to her, give her a call?" It was a cousin, and I spoke to her, and she was asking me a couple questions about her resume and what she could do, and I gave her just a few tips, and she just reached out to me last week, and she just wanted to say thank you. She said, "I wanted to wait until I was got the job and was past my probationary period, but she says I've been in the job 3 months now and I'm loving it, and I just want to thank you so much just for those few tips that you gave me because it helped me get the job that I really wanted to have." And so it's a matter of, okay, what is going to get me recognized? And so if I can look at a resume and you have some of the skill sets I'm looking at, that's going to prompt me to reach out to you and give you the call. Once you come in now you're going to have to really tell me why you're the perfect person for that job. But a resume is just designed to get you noticed and get you the call.
That's right. It even could be Tyrone calling you.
It doesn't. Well, I love that you keep it fun, Dom. I tell you, I love that. Life, and it should, things should be fun. That's the other thing. Work should be, it shouldn't be something that you get up every day and it's like, wow, I hate doing this and I don't want to get up today itself. And if you do, then there's something wrong. I encourage you to, look for something or find something that really fulfills you itself. And so you should be able to have that engagement or have that fun at work. And it sounds like you're doing exactly what you enjoy doing and you're having fun at it.
Oh yeah, we keep the fun on the bun on this podcast. Hot dog, I stay on the roll. Let me stop. Well, fabulous indeed. Sounds like you got a lot of stuff cooking up for the future because folks need that help indeed. Yes, indeed. Might be a giant Princess George County job fair, or better yet, a Princess George coaching session.
Sure. I definitely open to that. I do, individual coaching as well. And so, people can reach out to me at solutions at by George. That's bygeorgehr.com and set up a session with me, a complimentary session itself. And certainly I would love the opportunity to be able to talk to additional people.
That's right. And I should rephrase it. Call it Queen George. She's past princess status. That's right. The crown stay filled with all the jewels. That's what I'm talking about. Well, coming down to the question that every guest gets to receive, and that is if you were to wake up tomorrow and you were 25 again in the current year of 2020 with all of your amassed knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
Wow, I love that question. And the advice that I would give to myself is to really just follow my dreams and follow my goals and follow my passions and without listening to other people. And I think that so often, we have these wonderful ideas, and certainly I know that I have had them and have been talked out of it or been told it was silly or, why would I want to do that? And really, I would just say just follow those things that I want to do, because if you do that, it's a winning formula, and you can't help but be successful.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. That's right. That's right. Listening's twofold. Listen to the right people and then don't listen to the evil people. That's right. Yes, indeed. They could be cheating you out of that metaphorical winning lottery ticket. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, for those who want to keep in magical contact with you, what's the best way for folks to reach out to you again?
Sure. So I'm at solutions at bygeorge.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. You can reach me, Diana George. And then, sure, just, like I said, solutions at bygeorgehr.com. I just want to say the book is coming out March 4th. We are going to have for the first 24 to 48 hours, the book will be available for $1, for individuals. And then also on Saturday, March 28th in New York, I have an event, How to Align Your Purpose and Passion for Profit. So I want to show individuals how do they take what it is that they enjoy doing, how to decide, do I need to be going in a different path in life, whether it's an entrepreneur, a different job, career wise, but we'll have a workshop on how to align your purpose and passion for profit. That's on Saturday, March 28th. And so everything can be found on my website or, like I said, my social media.
Woohoo! Quite fitting it's gonna be during Women's History Month because this wonderful lady right here is making history, baby. That's right. Magical book coming out on March the 4th. It's only for $1 to make you holler. And then on the 28th, she's got an event too out in New York. So you really know what's gonna be new in New York. That's right. That's what I'm talking about. And when you leave that event, you're going to be like, I wish somebody else knew the knowledge I got out of this session, but they can't have it yet because I'm going to use it myself. That's right. Queen George got me covered like a blanket. Yes, indeed. So going out there, folks, check out the site in the show notes. Check out the book too. Heck, even buy a copy for your cat if you want to. Maybe cats want a job. You never know.
Yep. And the one other thing, Don, I do have a download right now. So if someone's not sure, what are some of the questions I should be asking myself if I want to pursue an entrepreneur opportunity or even a different career, it is bit.ly at worksheet. I'm sorry. Yeah, it should be bit.ly worksheet.
Oh, okay. Cool. I'm surprised someone didn't take that one yet. All right. All right. bit.ly/worksheet. Okay. Yes, indeed. That's right. They say between the sheets you shall work because she's got the worksheet for you. That's right. Working on yourself to get that work you want out of life and to make the magic happen for you. That's what I'm talking about. So, any parting words for the folks still listening, Diana?
I'm going to quote something here. It's one of the things that I love. I'm looking at it right now, my office wall. It's live the life you've always dreamed of. Be fearless in the face of adversity. Never stop learning. Use your imagination whenever possible. Recognize the beauty that surrounds you. Remember where you came from, but never lose sight of where you're going. Be you.
Thanks a bunch for your listening ears on the Going North podcast. I hope you really, really enjoyed that episode. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to share it with your friends and family, especially those who love podcasts and love listening to some inspiration and motivation.